6. So we thought we'd actually have a little look to see how Liverpool's fans had rated Arne Slot through this difficult recent period. And you see on that right-hand column, it fluctuates wildly depending on the result, as you would probably expect. But I just wonder if that was a Jurgen Klopp figure, whether there would be such a wild fluctuation, because you think they'd give him a defeat or two. Jamie, it seems to me that some Liverpool fans are starting to think what seems like the unthinkable. This is a manager who won the title last season. They couldn't get rid of him, could they, in the following season?
No. Not in my mind at any time through this season. But I must say, some of the people I spoke to after the Nottingham Forest game and supporters, and I've got friends and family, how they were speaking shocked me a little bit. I think there's huge respect for Arne Slot, what he did last season. Let's not forget, Liverpool had won one league title in 30 years before that man came to Liverpool. To win your league title in your first season is pretty special. But what I have the feeling is that he doesn't have unconditional love and support that Jurgen Klopp always had. Jurgen Klopp had a couple of ropey moments in his time. At one stage, he lost 6 games in a row at Anfield in the league. It was the COVID season, there was no supporters there, but still for Liverpool to lose 6 games at home at that stage was pretty bad. But at no stage did I ever feel that people were talking about Jurgen Klopp's position the way people have been speaking about Arne Slot's position over the weekend. But it's the nature of the beast. He's the manager of one of the biggest clubs in the world. The results are horrendous at this moment. But for me, there should be no talk or no thought of this manager being out of a job this season. And that is the reason why.
His first 50 league games as manager, and he has more points than every Liverpool manager since Shankly, apart from Kenny Dalglish, who also had an extraordinary start, 102 points from their first 50 matches. We were discussing this earlier on, and it's not unprecedented that a club would change a manager who has won the league title, even in the next season. Well, these are the only 3 clubs actually in Premier League history who have sacked a manager who's won the title for them. Chelsea, Leicester and Manchester City. Chelsea have done it numerous times, Man City a couple of times. Only 2 have done it the following season. Jose Mourinho in his second spell. In fact, 3 have done it. Claudio Ranieri, after he won the title with Leicester, and Roberto Mancini, right at the end of the season. I think you played a part in that, Roberto, as well.
No, in the league.
Because Wigan beat Manchester City in the FA Cup just a few days before that happened.
Can I just make a little point, though?
Very quickly.
Come to me. I don't think Liverpool have ever sacked a manager who've won the league. I think they all resigned or they all left for different reasons. Liverpool have never, got rid of a manager who's won a league title.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
Difficult moment, they're on a bad run at the moment, terrible run at the moment, in fact, Tim. What does Slot have to do? Style of play is not working right now. Should he go back to basics? But what is back to basics for Slot and Liverpool? What can he do to change something?
Well, back to basics is going back to the team run away with the league last season. But he's tried that a few times and that hasn't worked. He's got to try and integrate new players. It's been difficult for him. He's lost important players. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think we underestimated how good he was. Everyone was always questioning what he can't do and how poor he was defensively. But with the ball, he was one of the best passers in the Premier League and one of the best passers we've ever seen in the Premier League. So I think they lack. I think what Trent also give you is, you asked Mo Salah, who was the most valuable player for him, and it was him. You give him fuel. They work so well in tandem with each other. So the midfield hasn't really worked. Szoboszlai, for me, has been good. I think he's got a lot of energy. He's played him at fullback at the weekend, so he's getting him out of them areas. He's just got to believe, and he's just got to keep... It's hard, but as a manager, but he's just got to keep the spirits high as possible. You can't write off the Premier League, but they're not stupid now. I've tried to keep a lifeline open for them for as long as I possibly could, but now's the time. They cannot win the league from here. It's going to be impossible. It's impossible, I think, with Arsenal running away like they are at the moment and Man City still playing very, very well. I don't think the turnaround can be that drastic. They're out of it. So they've just got to concentrate on Champions League. Of course they've got a big enough squad to win games in the Premier League. So they haven't got to pull their eggs in the Champions League basket, but they're out of the Carabao Cup. FA Cup will come around in January. I think their sights have to be lifting a trophy, but it's not going to be the Premier League, unfortunately, for them.
Yeah, 11 points behind after 12 games. We're going to be talking a lot about Liverpool, by the way, at 11 o'clock. We'll be joined by 2 Liverpool fans as well as Tim. You've won the Premier League as a player. How difficult is it the next season when you've had that euphoria of winning the title? Go again.
A little bit different for us, Tom, because we had an owner in Jack Walker, and he piled his money into the club for one reason, which was his dream to win the Premier League. And we managed to get there. Once we got there, we had a change of manager. Kenny Dalglish moved upstairs, Ray Hartford took over. A lot of players were leaving rather than new players coming in. So we never really had the foundation. It was almost like, oh, we've managed to achieve it. Did we believe we can really crack on and do it again? I think when we lost Kenny upstairs, I think it was a blow to everyone. But it was almost like everyone ran out of energy. It's a bit different for Liverpool because they've gone again in the transfer market. They've won it. Everyone felt with the signings what they made in the summer that they would just go on and dominate for years to come, and it'd be very difficult for anyone else to get anywhere near them. It's not materialised like that. I think this is their transition year. I think Slot done very well last season by doing nothing with a Jurgen Klopp side. He almost done nothing. He just kept them going. He got Mo Salah happy again, smiling. It was absolutely magnificent. He got Virgil van Dijk, who's a very influential player for them, to sign a new contract. Couldn't persuade Trent to sign a new contract, but everyone in the camp was happy. But they lost players. I think we can't underestimate the effect of Jota on that group of players as well. The loss of him, tragedy. And they're feeling all different parts of it. I think is playing a part in the demise of Liverpool at the moment. There is a way back, but not this season in the Premier League. But they're still a magnificent club, a well-run club. I believe he's a fantastic manager. I still believe in him. But for the Premier League, it's got all about next year now, and they just have to concentrate on winning one of the cups they're in still.
Just quickly, the next 3 league games: West Ham away, Sunderland at home, Leeds away. Do you expect 9 points? I think fans will.
Yeah, I expected them to beat Nottingham Forest at Anfield as well. So, I mean, the Premier League's tough. It's tough to win games, and you have to be on it. Even when you're the champions, you have to be on it. Otherwise, someone will come in and take advantage of you. So, yes, I expect 9 points, but is it going to be good enough? I would suggest they need to win the next 15 with maximum points to be anywhere near the title race. So 3 games will help. It will give the confidence what they need. But it's not going to be enough, Tom. They're too far adrift. We said it before there. I think the Tottenham fans said it, and I've said it many, many times. You can't win the league now, but you can lose it, and they've lost it.
Well, Liverpool's title challenge is looking over, okay? But get involved in our poll on X this morning. The question we're asking is, where will Liverpool finish in the Premier League? The options are, you've got champions, top 4, top half, and bottom. They are currently bottom half, by the way, and you can see just top half is winning the poll at the moment with 45%, but 36% still think top 4. More people think bottom half than champions. Only 5% still believe that they can do it. So, okay, looking over. Well, in fact, in terms of that, though, Tim, did that look about right to you? I mean, it's top half still just a little bit low. Do you still think top 4?
Top 4 for me. I still think they've got the ability to put a run together once these players get used to playing for Arne Slot and in the Premier League. Wirtz, I still believe he's going to be a good signing. I think Isak needs to get back to fitness and start getting some confidence there. Ekitike, I think, has been good for him. Frimpong needs to get himself fit and playing. And Carragher, who we thought would go in and hit the floor running, it hasn't materialised. But I think once they settle them down, got Alisson back now, which is a big plus for him. It wasn't at the weekend, but I think overall it will be. I think top 4 is, and it's got to be a must. You cannot. I mean, it's very difficult to be in the Champions League after being the champions of the Premier League and then to fall out of that entirely, and to play Europa League next year. It's unthinkable for me as a Liverpool fan would think that is just not possible.
Sky Sports have partnered with Analyses, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. If you want to represent your club, scan the QR code here or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. We can speak to 2 Liverpool fans now with opposing views on Slot, John Gibbons and Sarah Luca. Right, John, I know that you're very much backing your manager. Sarah, I'm told that you're not so sure. Why are you not so sure?
So, yeah, it is doubts. It's kind of 50-50, but also worried. I'm worried about mentality. I'm worried about the body language. I'm worried about Alisson after the third goal going in, saying mindset and shouting at the players. I'm worried that in Slot we might not have what we massively had in Klopp, where he had one mission, one vision, and he engaged the players behind that, and they knew what they were doing. The lack of solution is what I'm worried about.
John, so far this season for Liverpool in the league, it hasn't worked, okay, but we are still early enough. Why do you trust Slot to turn it around?
I think there's so much happened at the club over the last sort of 6 months that I think it's hard to pin it on one thing. There was a complete squad overhaul that he was obviously involved with, but the people who will be deciding who the manager is were involved in as well. That the squads ended up looking a bit sort of lopsided, and he's trying to make that work. And they look like a little bit like the heart's been ripped out of the team, but how much of that is what happened to the friend in the summer? And so I think it's a really tough thing to analyse. Look, normally as football fans, you just kind of look at it and think, oh, we need a new manager, need to do this, and at the moment it's just so hard. And so I just won't be making any rash decisions at the moment. I understand where Sarah's at, because you're watching it and it's really tough as a fan to see your teams not compete, and that's what Sarah's talking about there. Really, it's not quality, it's not the idea of people not being good enough, they're just not competing well enough. But trying to put your finger on why that is at the moment is really hard. And so I think we've got to pull together. I think we've got to back the manager who won the league last season, and he's done incredibly well, and just try and get it through it together really, and show a little bit more of that spirit that Liverpool is famous for, and come through it together.
Guys, no one to be trying harder than Arne Slot to put this right. I guarantee you that. He won't know. You talk about it there, John, trying to put your finger on it. He will be trying to put his finger on it every single minute of every day. He will take it home. When you're a manager, you don't just go training, go home, forget about football. When you're in the match day, his whole weekend would have been ruined, as yours is when you don't get a result. But he will be trying harder than anyone to try and put his finger on it. He's got the tools to work with. You've got the players. They've done it before. You've got new players you need to integrate. I don't think it's time for the panic. You will not win the league this season. That is not going to happen, because Arsenal are so strong and Man City are stronger than you at the moment. But I think you can win a trophy. I just think there's a cloud come over Liverpool. No one thought it would be, this season. Everyone, when you made them signings, saw you might as well just give them the trophy now. They're going to dominate for years to come. It's a blip. It's more than a blip. It's not panic. It's not a crisis. It's not a crisis. No one. You know how difficult it is to win back-to-back titles. History tells you that. It's very, very difficult. They will come back. They will come back with this manager as well. I believe it. You just need to have faith, guys.
Yeah, I think
I think just to that point about the summer, and everyone was like, "Oh, we might as well just give up. Liverpool's got it." I think that's the biggest problem. The fact that we won the league under Slot in his first season, that is when we thought the blip was going to come. We all left Klopp. When he left, we were like, oh my God, we're going to end up like Man United, and it's going to be a turnaround time. We won the league, we played some incredible football, and we were like, oh, hang on here. And now they've splashed the cash, we're going to win everything. Like, I was drinking the Kool-Aid over the summer. But now when our backs against the wall, we were always a team that would fight, and I don't see the fight in the players that have been there during Klopp's era, and that is my biggest worry. So I think Slot is great on the tactics, he's great on one-to-one coaching, but has he brought a vision and an ethos into that club that they can all buy in, so that even when their bodies are aching and they're going to put in that hard yarn, they're gonna do it for each other. There's loads of individuals on that pitch right now. They're not playing together, which is why the integration of the new has been so bad too.
John, I know that you are behind Slot, and I think the Liverpool fans that we hear from this show tend to be behind Arne Slot. But you've got to think of it from the board's point of view. He was given a lot of money to spend. I know you made some as well, and that will add extra pressure. Liverpool spent that money to stay at the top. Now they're not even in the top half. So whether the fans think there's pressure on him or not, from the board, you'd imagine there is, because Slot's been given what he wants. He's been given the tools.
Yeah, I think that is fair. Listen, there's pressure to be a Liverpool manager anyway, and when you spend all that money, there's even more pressure. But it's a collective now. It's not the case, like in the past where a manager says, "Oh, buy whoever you want and go out and do there." He's got a sporting director ahead of them. There's Michael Edwards sort of above Richard Hughes as well, and they've all put that squad together collectively. And so I think there needs to be responsibility, across the board, really, on have they bought the right players? Have they bought players with this, this desire that you sort of want from Liverpool? And even if they are really good players, which I think they'll still show they are, is the balance of the team correct? We didn't get a centre half over the line. Whose sort of responsibility is that? Did we replace Luis Diaz? With everything that he brought, and so I don't think it's quite as straightforward as saying, well, you've spent all this money, so it's all kind of on you. Really, I don't think that's how they'll see it within the club. I think they'll see it as a collective responsibility to kind of sort this out. But like Sarah says, they could start by just showing a bit more fight on the pitch. And I think, while you're not playing well, while it's taken a while to gel, I think supporters will forgive a little bit if you can see them, putting everything in. I went to the game on Saturday, and after the game, I went to the pub to do our post-match stuff, and I'm watching Man City v Newcastle, and you've got players throwing themselves in front of the ball on both sides, getting these big blocks in, and you're thinking, I can't remember seeing a Liverpool player do that all season. It's no wonder we're conceding so many goals and so many soft ones. Is that desire to put your body on the line, if you like, just isn't there. We've got players looking at 50-50s.
How does Slot do that then? How does Slot get that? Because Sarah talked about mentality. That's mentality, isn't it? Getting that into the players' minds to do that block, to put their bodies on the line. Is it up to him? Is it up to the players?
I think a little bit of both. There's players who are willing to do that. He's just not picking them at the moment, and so can he, take out some of the more naturally gifted footballers and bring in some guys who are going to sort of show that fight. Do you know what I'm hoping this Saturday is a bit of a wake up call, to be honest with you, because I think until this point it's been, we've had a tough run of fixtures and we've had some injuries and gel. There's no excuses for getting beat 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest. They're a decent side, but they were 19th coming in. So I'm hoping, Virgil spoke brilliantly after the game, but then he said, look, this is also just talk. You can't talk your way out of it. And so I'm hoping Saturday is a realisation that this is such a tough league. You can't just turn up and think, it's Forest at home, we're going to win. And I felt like they did a little bit there. You've got to win the right to play. And so I'm hoping I'm hoping Saturday is just a jolt for everyone, for the players, for the manager, and for the supporters a little bit as well, that we are in a bit of a fight and we need to show a bit more to get out of it.
Sarah, you nodded when John said that some players who do have that mentality and would put their body on the line just aren't getting picked at the moment. Which players could come in and do that picked at the moment just to change something?
Well, it's also some of the players that are being picked. So McAllister used to be that kind of player first in that midfield. So, the pivot with him and Gavin Birch really worked that season. But McAllister has not been on it at all this season. We talk about Mo Salah, like McAllister has been very, very poor. So he's not that kind of putting his body in the line, getting those crunching tackles in. Obviously, we've got Andy, but there must be something, wrong with his fitness. We know this because, he had an incredible game, in part for Scotland, an incredible result, and then wasn't picked. Was that more his body, or is it what he was talking about with Jota? There's a lot of emotion in that squad that clearly is not getting out, and this is where Klopp would have been the arm around the shoulder type manager and got that from them, right? And got them the help. Is Slot doing that, or is somebody else in the backroom staff doing that? And then you've got Connor Wood, obviously, but he's learning quickly, so he's the kind of put the body in the line, and also Van Dijk needs to be that person. When the back four is as chaotic as it is right now, Van Dijk might need to change his game up a bit here and truly be a leader on that pitch, because he's one of the first to let his head go down when a goal goes in, and then the rest of the team tends to follow that.
Would you take Klopp back right now if you're offered it, Sarah?
No, I don't. I don't think he would be the solution going backwards. I think Slot has it, but also he's very early on in his career, and nobody really talks about that. So he's learning, fast. and making mistakes, but it's whether he's allowed to make any more. I mean,
the future of Ethan Nwanery's potential loan move is suddenly uncertain, as Arsenal remain wary of repeating past setbacks caused by injuries. According to recent reports, the club is open to sending the young midfielder out on loan this winter, but the idea raises immediate questions. Nwanery has become the talk of the moment after a report from the Daily Mail suggested that Arsenal are considering a temporary move for the 18-year-old. Despite his limited minutes this season, the thought of letting him leave, even temporarily, comes with significant doubts. Back in October, Mikel Arteta publicly insisted that Nwanery would have plenty of opportunities to play, pointing to the fact that the teenager had already been called upon when Martin Odegaard was injured. "I don't know, but I don't work with expectations," Arteta said at the time. "I work with what the players can give in the context of where the team is at that moment." Ethan played 2 Premier League matches early on because Martin was out. He's played in other competitions and he'll play more. Yet the reality has been very different. Nwanery has logged fewer than 500 minutes this season, appearing in just 5 of Arsenal's 11 Premier League games, none of them as a starter. His only starts came in the 2 EFL Cup wins over Port Vale and Brighton, and in the 3-0 Champions League victory against Slavia Prague. The arrival of Ebereki Eze and the promotion of Max Daumann have tightened competition even further. And despite injuries to Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, and Noni Madueke, Nwanery's pathway has only narrowed. It's easy to forget how young he still is. At 18, and having first debuted at just 15, like Daumann, these are formative years where consistent playing time is crucial. The busy festive period could open that door, but with Odegaard, Madueke, and Kai Havertz all nearing their returns, there's a real chance Nwanery could slide even further down the pecking order. This is why a January loan sounds logical on paper, but it also sets off alarm bells. Arsenal's season has already been shaped by injuries for the second year in a row, and squad depth has never felt more essential. A single setback among the attacking players over the holiday fixture run could thrust Nwanery back into an important role almost overnight. The more sensible approach may be to reassess in the summer, once the squad naturally reshapes and the club have a clearer picture of their needs heading into 2025. Only then would a loan feel more secure, ensuring Nwanery actually gets the minutes he needs rather than risking another stalled development. Even then, nothing is guaranteed. Supporters will remember Serge Gnabry's loan to West Brom, intended to push him closer to first-team football, but ultimately a move that derailed his progress before he rebuilt his career in Germany. Arsenal's recent history with loans has been mixed at best, and too often unsuccessful. For now, the club must weigh the immediate needs of the squad against the long-term growth of one of their brightest prospects. Whether a loan becomes the right option, or another cautionary tale, remains to be seen. But the complexity of Nwanery's situation extends beyond simply playing time and squad depth. Inside the club, there is an ongoing debate about how quickly young talents should be exposed to the pressures of elite-level football. Some staff members argue that Nwanery's technical level is already above many players his age and that keeping him close to Arteta's structure will accelerate his development. Others believe that without consistent starts, and without a clear pathway to earn them, his progress could plateau. The uncertainty has also stirred conversation among supporters and pundits. Several former Arsenal players have expressed concern that the club may be repeating old patterns, where promising youngsters become trapped between first-team aspirations and inconsistent minutes. Others, however, believe the club is being careful for the right reasons, protecting a player who still needs physical development before facing the demands of weekly Premier League battles. This internal and external pressure has placed added scrutiny on Arteta's handling of young talents this season. While he has been praised for trusting academy graduates in the past, the balance has become harder to maintain now that Arsenal are competing on multiple fronts and aiming for silverware. Every decision carries weight. Resting senior players risks losing points, while overusing inexperienced teenagers risks injury or decline in confidence. There is also the broader question of what kind of loan would actually benefit Nwanery, should the club eventually decide to pursue one. A move to a Premier League side fighting relegation could offer minutes, but expose him to a demanding environment that prioritizes survival over development. A championship loan, on the other hand, might provide consistent matches, but at the cost of adjusting to a more physical style that does not always align with Arsenal's tactical identity. European options have been mentioned as well, though not confirmed. The possibility of joining a club in the Netherlands or Germany, leagues known for nurturing young talent, has been discussed quietly among observers. Yet Arsenal are hesitant, given how unpredictable such moves can be and how often they fail to produce the expected results. Meanwhile, Nwaneri himself remains focused and professional, according to those around the training ground. He is said to be eager for opportunities, but not frustrated or discouraged. The coaching staff admire his attitude, which only complicates the decision further. He is doing everything right, and still his future remains uncertain. As Arsenal approach the January window, the club finds itself at a crossroads. The next few weeks will likely be decisive, not just for Nwaneri's short-term career, but for how Arsenal choose to manage their most gifted prospects in an era of high expectations and relentless schedules. Any decision made now will be examined closely, not only because of what it means for Nwaneri, but because it will signal how the club intends to balance ambition with development as they move into the next phase of Arteta's project. Arsenal now face a difficult setback. Piero Hincapié may have to step into the North London derby under less than ideal circumstances after Gabriel's injury blow. The club is hoping that Hincapié's long late return trip to North London won't affect his readiness to replace Gabriel against Tottenham, because losing the Brazilian for such a crucial match is a major hit to Mikel Arteta's plans. Arsenal have already been forced to cope with key absences at various stages of the season, but Gabriel missing the derby presents a challenge of a very different magnitude. Naturally, the focus shifts to who will fill the gap on the left side of Arsenal's defense, and for many, the most logical answer is Piero Hincapié. The summer signing impressed during his only start for the club so far, an outstanding display at left centre-back in the League Cup win over Brighton. That night, he partnered with Christian Mosquera, who is also an option for Arteta on Sunday. One possible configuration would see William Saliba move to the left, with Mosquera taking his place on the right, depending on how heavily Hincapié's international travel weighs on Arteta's decision. And that travel is far from insignificant. The Ecuadorian defender is currently away with his national team. He captained Ecuador during their 0-0 draw with Canada, helping secure the clean sheet. But the real concern comes with his final international fixture. Ecuador face New Zealand in New Jersey in the early hours of Wednesday morning, UK time. The match kicks off at 1:30 a.m. and is expected to finish around 4 a.m. Only after that will Hincapié board his flight back to England, meaning he won't arrive in London until Wednesday afternoon at the earliest. From there, he will have just a handful of days to recover, settle back in, and prepare for one of the most intense fixtures of the season. The slight silver lining is that the derby falls late in the weekend, giving him as much time as possible to reintegrate. Still, the timing of his return is far from ideal and adds yet another layer of uncertainty to Arsenal's defensive preparations ahead of a match that could define their momentum for weeks to come. Beyond the logistical headache, Arteta and his staff must also consider the physical and tactical demands that a North London derby imposes. It is not the sort of match where a defender can arrive underprepared, particularly against a Tottenham side that has looked sharp in attack this season. Any hesitation, any lapse in intensity caused by travel fatigue, could be costly. Inside Arsenal, there is a quiet concern that the club may once again be walking a tightrope with its defensive depth. Over the past 2 seasons, injuries at the back have forced Arteta into uncomfortable choices, and Gabriel's setback reopens a conversation that the club hoped was behind them. The manager has repeatedly emphasized the importance of continuity across the defensive line, especially given how central the high defensive line and controlled build-up are to Arsenal's identity. Gabriel and Saliba have been at the core of that stability, and disrupting it inevitably changes the team's rhythm. Analysts close to the club have noted that Hincapié's profile fits the role well, confident under pressure, quick across the ground, and capable of progressing the ball with either foot. However, they also caution that he is still adapting to the Premier League's pace and physicality. Throwing him straight into a derby environment may accelerate his integration, but it also carries risk. Supporters have expressed mixed reactions as well. Many are eager to see Hincapié given a real opportunity, believing his style suits Arsenal's long-term plans. Others worry that asking him to deliver immediately, under difficult circumstances, could place unnecessary pressure on a player still in the early stages of adjusting to English football. The timing of Gabriel's injury also complicates Arsenal's broader goals. With a congested winter schedule approaching and the title race tightening, every match takes on heightened importance. Dropping points against Tottenham could shift momentum, not just in the standings but in confidence across the squad. It also forces Arteta to rethink how he manages minutes for defenders who have already logged heavy workloads this season. Club insiders say the staff have been preparing contingency plans for weeks, anticipating scenarios where international duties and injuries overlap. Yet even the best planning can be stretched thin when travel delays and late-night kickoffs are added to the equation. In the coming days, the medical and performance teams will conduct assessments to determine exactly how ready Hincapie is for Sunday's showdown. Arteta is expected to make a late decision, balancing long-term health with short-term necessity. The hope is that the Ecuadorian arrives in good condition, responds well to training, and can at least offer a reliable solution in Gabriel's absence. What remains undeniable is that Arsenal enter the derby under a new layer of pressure, forced to adapt, to trust their depth, and to test the resilience that has been a defining theme of their season so far.